Okay, continuing on with our creature collage. I was, in the last demo, cutting out antlers, and you can see they're mostly cut out cleanly, but there's little debris left. And instead of just cutting out everything exactly and waiting too long, I'm now going to move this grouping and attach it to the body. So how can I do that without merging everything? Well, we're going to do something we haven't done much of yet, which is selecting multiple layers. And there's an easy way to do it, which is to use your move tool with auto select turned on, and then just draw a box containing the layers you want to select, like so. And you'll see multiple layers light up. But if you have your background turned on, I've locked mine so this won't happen. You want to make sure you deselect your background, which you can do by clicking the layer with command turned on to add or delete a layer from that grouping. All right, let's see. And actually, I don't want that one from the group. So now the beauty is, since they're all selected, there's 4 layers there that were visible, I can use my move tool now and move them all together. I could also, while they're all selected, even though they're still separate layers, I could transform them together, which is what I'm going to have to do, because notice that head is much bigger than that body and bigger than my sketch proportions allow. So I hit Command T, and all of a sudden I can do almost the full range of transformations. And if you right click, you'll see you won't be able to warp because you're applying it to multiple layers, but you can still scale, rotate, skew, distort, and even play with the perspective. So if I wanted to, I can just shrink it up a little bit, like so. I could even skew it and tug at one end or the other, give it a little bit of a taller posture. And if I use distort, I could fit in the musculature the way I want, both with the neck, see that flowing with the spine, and going into the chest. All right, so at this point, I've got all the major elements of my creature bolted together. Now, what if I wanted to see it more clearly? I could take my sketch out of there. That will help me kind of clean up edges. And then what if I want to combine all of these into a layer that's more easily understood? Since I haven't labeled most of these, I have my closed mouth and it's still down here. So maybe I should have moved my closed mouth with it. But I'm just going to leave that undone for now because I like the open mouth for the silhouette. So what you can do is, once you have all of them, let me see, so these 4, select them all. You can hold down Command and just select them one by one too if you don't want to use the move tool. Oh, not that one, this one. And what I can do is I can create a folder group of layers. So next to the new layer icon within the layer window is a little folder icon. If I click that and then I name this folder head and horns, something like that, then I can move all those layers into that folder and help organize them that way. So that, and this. And then just move them all into that folder, and then you can turn them off and on as you want, or go into them more individually. And I'll go ahead and move the closed mouth layer in there as well, though I'll leave it turned off, because that's an option for later. Okay, now, what about some of these other aspects? Well, if I turn that off, and I use my move tool, and I draw a box around all of that, I have all these 4, so I can create a new folder. I'm going to call this Body and Legs. This is what I've put together so far. Select those layers. And move them into that folder. So I can turn that off and on. and work on that as a combined folder of layers. You can also give these colors, which can be helpful just by right-clicking next to the eye. So you know these areas. Actually, I'll make that blue. Now this other stuff, this is reference I really don't need anymore, except in the cases where I think it might be helpful. So like this case, that chest might be very helpful to me right here. So now that I have all the pieces roughly bolted together, I want to find those transitions that make the most sense. So what I'll do, this is still a smart layer. So I'm going to take it all the way from under the chin, really just take this whole section, all the way to the legs and that musculature. And duplicate that, maybe even add a little bit more of that back leg just in case. It's all about the skeleton and the structure underneath. But then duplicate it onto its own layer, turn that off. Move this into body and legs, move it on top. And I can even move it on top of head and horns. Whoops, not into head and horns, but above it, because it can be the piece that transitions between these. So transitions now are key. I'm going to take my opacity down a little bit, just a little, and then play with the transform tools. And careful selections of warp. To help this out, especially the musculature at the front. Because I need that chest. Okay, then I'm thinking that's good. I'm going to hit return, but I want to taper it at the top a little. Well, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so let's just return that, take it to 100%. That works pretty well. Now, how do I transition it? First, I can just easily cut out the black by selecting it and then erasing at 100% opacity with a soft brush, pretty large, but careful not to erase into the form here. Because even though contiguous was turned on, the black shadows in here touch the bordering edge. So you can see how that turns out. That gives you a nice cutout. I can continue that elsewhere. Find these pieces that help transition. And then again, you select it all, but you carefully avoid the areas inside the body. And it's a little rough-edged and sharp-edged for fur, but it's going to give you all of that complexity, and then I can just take a lower opacity brush if I need to soften it. Okay, now that head still looks mighty big, so I'm going to play with it. I want it to be a little bit more graceful to go with my sketch. So I'm going to select the whole head and horns layer, the folder of layers, right? And by just selecting that whole folder, I can do Command T, and it will transform everything, even the layer that's hidden, which is the closed mouth head, which is why it's down there a little bit. So maybe I should actually remove that layer so I have more control of my transformations. I won't get rid of it, I'll just move it outside. There it is. Okay. Select that folder, Command T. Let's play with scaling it a little differently. Now that I know I have a neck transition that works better. That's what I mean about not wasting a lot of time cutting things out until you know exactly how everything's going to show or not show. Okay, so even though that doesn't flow that well anymore, I can use this. This sells my musculature. So now I'm just going to move it into place. Let's take this down a little. Whoops. Whole thing. Ah. I'm just going to tug this back edge up a little bit. Okay. I'm just playing for what feels right. Now I'm still going to be adding that foliage to the antlers. Okay, good. Now I can use that soft eraser brush. I know the placement. Get rid of the hard edge on that neck, and then start using lower opacity soft erasers to start blending it in. Blending these textures together, not even worrying about the color change too much yet. There's time for that. Actually, let me see. Yeah, that's going to work. Okay. So really low opacity, kind of blending those pieces in. And now I kind of know what I want, and I know what I can get rid of. So I can use the auto select now for individual layers and start erasing at full opacity to clean up. By using the move tool, selecting that, then erasing. Kind of know what I want. So I actually want the skinnier legs in this position. And remember, you can hold down the command key while you're in a brush or eraser to get to the move tool, and if you have auto select turned on, then you can just go right to that layer and erase away. And it's a very soft eraser, but the important thing is it's at 100%. Yeah. But I'm not going to try to erase things like that green, anything too close to what I actually want to keep on a layer like this. There's places where I need to be precise. Right now I'm just getting rid of areas I don't need. All right, it's a good time to save. And just by doing that, by starting to put the pieces together and organize them and then get rid of what you don't need, that becomes distracting. You know the challenges ahead.